Welcome to the Survivor to Thriver show with your happiness expert, Samia. Do you feel stuck, silent, and stressed? Is something hurting your heart and soul? Are you burning yourself out? If so, you are in the right place because this is the podcast people from all over the world join in to learn exactly how to stop suffering and start living with inner peace and joy. Let's get started. Hey, last episode I shared with you that I'm currently at a health center where I've been water fasting for improving my health, of course. Today is actually my 5th day water fasting, which means that for the last 5 days I have not eaten or drunk anything except water. And I know when I share this with people, a lot of them get worried about me because a lot of people think that's a very stupid, even dangerous thing to do. But I want to assure you I'm doing really, really well. I'm under medical supervision. So look, I'm not saying this kind of fasting is for everyone and good for everything. But there are a lot of conditions, medical conditions, that can be completely cured and eliminated and are significantly benefited through the process of water fasting. So you need to do it correctly, you need to do it smartly, and I am doing so. Taking really, really good care of myself. Alright, so don't worry. Now, if you're curious about water fasting and how it might help, why it works, how it can be done safely, all those kinds of questions, just go to the website of the health center where I'm at. The health center I'm at, it's called True North Health Center, and their website is healthpromoting.com. healthpromoting.com. So you can get all the information you want on health fasting. Now, of course, one of the most important aspects of a True North Health strategy of how they get you to experience optimal health is about education, right? Education about a healthy lifestyle. You know, all the doctors here will tell you that, look, fasting is just something that we do when it's needed to speed up the healing process and to help people break through certain bad habits. For example, if you have certain kind of food addictions, 7 days of water fasting will help you change your taste buds, much more quickly, efficiently, effectively than if you try to do it any other way. And that's one of the impacts that I'm looking to achieve for myself also, is to reset my taste buds so that natural foods, the way that nature has made them, taste good to me, and I don't need a lot of excess added, refined, processed sugars and salts and fats in order to enjoy my food, right? Because look, sugar, salt, fat, these are all chemicals essentially, and we can and do become addicted to them. And it's very, very easy for us to become addicted to them. So it's really important that we learn to master our thoughts and emotions and our behaviors at one level. But on the other hand, you see, if it's just like a drug, for example, like if you are addicted to a certain drug like alcohol or heroin or something like that, there's only so far you can go in terms of working on your psychology to help you overcome the addiction. There is a certain physiological component to that addiction which is making it really, really, really difficult, maybe even impossible for you to break through that addiction. And that needs to be addressed. That physiological component of the addiction needs to be addressed. It needs to be healed. And so when it comes to food-related addictions, right, if you're addicted to sugar, salt, fat, caffeine, or whatever it is for you, having a reset of your taste buds by going through a process of fasting can be really, really helpful, and it can be one of the quickest, most efficient, effective ways to achieve that reset of your taste buds. Well, in any case, enough about that. I don't want to get too technical, but there's absolutely some really great education you can have on this idea if it raises your curiosity by going to the True North Health Center's website, like I said, which is www.healthpromoting.com. All right, so moving on to what I really want to talk to you about today. And that is the idea of the goals that we set, the intentions that we set for ourselves, and the kind of goals that we set, how they have a huge impact on our ability to live happily and healthily in our lives. See, when it comes to, and it's all related to what I'm going through right now, of course. See, right now I'm very, very focused on my health. And my goal with my health now is to achieve excellence in my health. Achieve the very best health that I can. And this goal for me is a relatively new goal, because for the vast majority of my life, my goal was simply to escape the pain and escape the suffering that I experienced as a result of the various disease, the health conditions that I have. I mentioned to you that I suffered severe headaches, for example, and high level of fatigue. And of course I had lots of other things going on, but these were the two symptoms that I experienced that bothered me the most, that had the biggest impact on my ability to live my life. And so my goal was, I want to get rid of the pain of the headaches, and I want to have better energy. I don't want to feel that lethargic. I don't want to feel that high intensity of fatigue. I want to be able to move around and go about my daily life. Now, if you think about this, and this is something that, again, I've only been recently recognizing, starting to see these patterns. It's very similar to what happened with me in the aftermath of my surviving child sexual abuse, where in the immediate aftermath of experiencing that trauma, my first priority was to stop the suffering, to escape the sense of suffering that I was experiencing, to escape the pain, the shame, the guilt. I just wanted to stop. Over time, as I healed, you see, my goal shifted in a very important way. And it actually took quite a while for this shift to happen, but it did shift. I got to a point in my healing where I wasn't satisfied with just not suffering. I wanted to actually be happy. I wanted to actually have inner peace. I wanted to actually have joy in my life. And as I became happier and started to experience inner peace and joy, I wanted more and more and more of it. And now my main focus when it comes to my mental emotional health is to continue in that upward spiral of achieving greater and greater excellence in my mental emotional health, continuing to ever deepen my experience of inner peace and happiness and joy, and achieve better and better control over my mental emotional well-being. To say that I don't want to suffer is a very low standard for me. But it was a process of healing and growth before I was able to transition and refocus my energies from just not wanting to suffer to actually living with inner peace and joy. And the strategies that, I employed to help me not suffer are very different from strategies that I'm employing now to help me actually live with inner peace and joy. And this is actually one of the greatest insights of the whole positive psychology movement also, that there's actually a difference between simply not being depressed, not feeling depressed, or helping you come out of depression, versus being actually happy, being actually joyful. They're two different skill sets. Just because you're not depressed doesn't mean you're actually happy. So now let's come back to the issue of our health at a physical level. Turns out there's a very similar phenomenon that's occurring at the level of our physical health. This is a very similar story. You see, there are lots of us who are in pain, who are actively struggling and suffering because of some kind of health condition which is impacting our lives. And for a lot of us, our goal, our first priority is, I want to stop that suffering. I want to stop that pain. And whatever it is that we do to help us stop the pain, to get the symptoms under control, that's one thing. And the tools that we use, the medications that we might take, the lifestyle that we might lead to help us achieve that goal. It's a certain, certain skill set, a certain prescription, and it will help, right? If you're following good advice, sound advice on how to deal with that particular condition, you will generally find yourself improving and achieving better health in terms of the symptoms come under control. You're not in pain anymore, or at least not as much pain anymore, that kind of thing. And there are lots of people out there who actually even achieve a state or have been maintaining a state where they're not really sick. But the vast majority of those of us who are not really sick are also not really healthy. Because turns out, just like at the mental emotional level, that there is an entirely different skill set and a different kind of lifestyle that you need to observe and maintain and learn about and implement if you want to be truly healthy. There's a difference between not being sick and being actually really healthy. And what I recognized for myself was that for a long time, even though at a mental emotional level, I had shifted towards having this goal of excellence in my mental emotional health and striving to be actually happy and living with inner peace and joy, which is what mental emotional excellence is about. Even though I'd made that shift mentally, emotionally, I had not made that shift when it comes to my physical health. So my goal primarily, until very recently, for my physical health was always about, I don't want to have these headaches. I will do whatever it takes to reduce the headaches, manage the headaches, ideally make them go away completely. Because I don't like those headaches. Oh my God, they're horrible. They're debilitating. Like, I'm in bed all day pretty much, not able to barely even move when I get these headaches. And they take a good 12 to 14 hours to resolve and go away. So it's like my entire day is just gone. So I hate those headaches. And the same thing when I'm feeling fatigued. When I'm feeling that tired, I've like no motivation to do anything. I can barely move my body, barely motivate myself to move my body. Even if I had some motivation, I'm just so tired, feeling so heavy that I'm not able to do it. Or it's very, very difficult. So it was all about, I don't want to feel like this. I don't want to suffer. I don't want to experience this pain. But what I didn't realize was that, I'm not really striving for excellence. Now I know I wasn't really striving for excellence in health. So why is that important? Why is that important? I'll tell you why. Because when your goal is merely not to suffer, merely not to have pain, merely not to be sick, that's a very reactive way of approaching life and dealing with your life's problems, right? Reactive. And it's sort of like crisis management. Crisis hits, you manage the crisis. Not a bad thing when you actually are having a crisis. But see, what happens is that in the long term, if you're always in crisis management mode and that's the primary way in which you live, you're always going to find yourself coming across one crisis after another, after another, after another. And your life will begin to feel like a constant struggle of, I dealt with this problem and now there's another one. Dealt with this problem and now there's another one. It's like you never get rest. It's like you're never able to get ahead. Because you're always in crisis management mode. You're always about responding to the crisis as it occurs. In the long term, see, if you really want to be healthy, if you really want to be happy, living with inner peace and joy, if you want to make some headway against all the problems and challenges that life can throw at you, you need to start thinking about prevention. You need to start thinking about not only prevention, like preventing the problems, but you need to also think about growth, about growing bigger than the problems that you have and growing bigger than potential problems that you may have. You have to think about prevention. You have to think about growth. See, because when you take preventive action, then you can prevent a lot of things from happening, so that you don't have to be in crisis intervention mode so much. And when all the time and energy you save from not having to deal with crises so much, you can put that into growing yourself stronger, growing yourself healthier, growing yourself happier. And again, that has a preventive effect, right? Because the healthier you grow, the happier you grow, the fewer things will be able to bother you. The fewer things will be able to make you sick. See, when you have a more healthy, vibrant immune system, for example, there are fewer viruses and bacteria that will be able to create disease in your body, because your body will be able to so much more effectively and efficiently respond and deal with those bacteria and those viruses when they do enter your body. Because it's not a question of if they enter your body, it really is to a large extent a question of when something or the other will enter your body, right? Because we are living in an environment, in a world where we are constantly being exposed. It's like, even if you are doing everything you can for yourself to do because everything is so interconnected and so interdependent, as long as there are other people out there and aspects of our environment that are polluted, for example, as long as the environment around you, anywhere around you, is polluted, well, those pollutants are going to begin to impact you, directly or indirectly. Whether it's the quality of the air, the quality of the water, how many, what's the quality in terms of the balance of creatures, wildlife, the health and wellness of the creatures and wildlife, right? Because everything's interconnected, everything's interdependent. If the bees, for example, right? We've recently been hearing a lot about the crisis of the bees dying out. And the bees die out, normally, especially if you're like an urban person, a city person, you don't think about bees as, anything important or significant, but turns out they're extremely important and extremely significant. They help us grow our foods. When the bees started dying out, our crops started to die out, because the bees were the ones that were pollinating our crops. And we don't have a way. The bees are so efficient and so effective at what they do, and we're like just benefiting from all their hard work. And when the bees were gone, we had no way, we were totally unprepared to deal with the gap in the workload that they left. So you see, it's like everything's interconnected, interdependent. So, and there'll be people around you. It's like you may be doing everything you can to be in the best mental emotional health you can, but guess what? There'll always be people around you who are not doing so well. And then directly or indirectly, they'll end up impacting you, because either you will end up interacting or needing to interact with them yourself, or they'll interact with someone that you interact with, and their negative energy will impact the people you interact with, and their negative. And so far as they're negatively impacted, it may negatively impact you, right? So it's like, it's not a question of if, but a question of when. When will you have to deal with the challenge? And when you have to deal with the challenge, it's like, how strong are you? How well prepared are you? Are you bigger than the problem, bigger than the challenge, or is the challenge bigger than you? The only way you can become bigger than the problem, bigger than the challenge, is by growing yourself stronger and healthier, right? Stronger and healthier both at a mental, emotional level, but also at a physical level. Because even our mental, emotional, and physical health are very much connected and dependent upon each other. So we really have to look, when you're in the crisis, it's very natural that all you're really going to be able to think about is managing the crisis, averting the crisis. But once you have overcome the immediate moment of crisis, it becomes really, really important that we learn to refocus our attention onto learning and implementing skills and strategies that help us beyond crisis management, that help us with actual learning of how to grow and how to prevent those kinds of crises happening. And that's what I've now started to do with my health at the physical level also. I've finally had that eureka moment, had that understanding, and now I'm working on making that shift for myself. And that's part of why I'm here now at True North Health Center, to help me make that shift towards excellence in my health in a faster, more effective, more efficient way than if I was trying to do it on my own back home. So think about that. It's like, what's going on in your life? What are the problems that you have been facing? And are you simply in crisis management mode with them? Are you the kind of person who's just all about crisis management? And like, where in your life can you begin to now shift away from just crisis management to actually prevention and growth mindset? What are the problems that you can begin to shift in that way? Because the crisis is for the most part under control, or you have managed it before, so you know how to do that, right? So think about that for yourself. And hey, if this is something you find yourself struggling with, do not continue to struggle with it on your own. Reach out for help and support. And you know that I'm one person you can reach out to. Contact me by going to my website at www.academyofthriving.com. Click on the Contact Us page, and you will see how you can connect with me. Now, I will tell you that these days, probably your best bet of getting a response sooner rather than later is by sending me a Facebook message, because I have not been checking my email as frequently as I normally do, because hey, I'm at a health retreat. Right? So I'm supposed to be resting as much as possible, including resting from mental emotional work. So I've not been checking my work email, but every once in a while I admit, go on and check my Facebook or Twitter. So your best bet right now, if you want to hear from me sooner rather than later, is connect with me via Facebook. All right, so with that said, I wish you lots of peace and joy until we connect next time.